All right. Welcome, Facebook world. Welcome, all the people in my group. Really excited about tonight. Tonight, I'm going to go through and show you how to replace your income in 10 years or less. But before we get too far into these things, if you're here live, let me know. If you're watching the replay, let me know. Yeah, really looking forward to this. Hope you guys can get some value out of it. So who is this video for? Well, this is for couples out there who, make good money and want to maximize that opportunity. You're sick of watching money get wasted continually. You're sick of feeling stuck financially. You desperately want to jump off this hamster wheel that you're on, and you want financial security and to design your own future. You want to control your financial future instead of being pushed around by things that are out of your control. And you want to have a solid plan for the future. You really want some sort of a plan in place for your way out of this rat race. And you want more time to do the things you love. The poll results in the group just the other day said that you guys want to do more traveling and more volunteer work, which is fantastic. Let's find out how to do that together. And obviously, you want financial independence, no longer dependent upon earned income, and having a job. You want the choice to work, because you may very well hate your job. But you might have been following me as well and wanting to know what my clients are doing to achieve their own version of financial freedom. So who am I? My name is Josh Redman. I'm an ex-financial planner. I'm tired of the system being stacked against everyday people. And with more than 10 years experience, I'm here to help couples save crazy amounts of money in a short space of time and grow serious personal wealth. I want to help you put the power of your money back in your hands and helping couples to get things under control and navigate their way to the financial future that they want. So we're talking about replacing your income. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of different sources of income, but what we're going to focus in on is earned income through employment and investment income. I mean, you could start a business and all that kind of jazz and experience that accelerated growth. But for this workshop, I'm only really going to focus in on investing your earned money. Okay, we're looking to replace our earned income with our investment income, putting our money to work, so let's get into it. But we're going to use the example of Matt and Katie. Okay, now their current situation at the moment is they're living on the Central Coast, household income of $185,000, and working with me, they've managed to save more than $60,000 every 12 months. They've consistently done better than $60,000, but we're going to be a little bit conservative and just use that $60,000 for the training today. All right. So now, obviously, when it comes to investments, we're going to talk about today. Obviously, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to go with the simplest, the most rock solid strategy while looking for the lowest level of risk, not because this is what I recommend, but I simply don't want arguments. I mean, if you're here to kind of debunk this stuff or start arguments, feel free to leave. But basically, we've gone with the simplest, most rock solid strategy and looking for the lowest level of risks possible. So we're going to use historical data to back up what we're doing as well. So it's going to be airtime. All right. Now, obviously, one of the things I want to point out here early on as well is that volatility doesn't equal risk. Okay, for a lot of people, they see things as volatile and that's how they gauge risk. But if you invested in something, let's say, that has a down year every 5 years, for instance, like historically, every 5 years, it has a down year, right? That is not actually considered risky, right? As there's another 4 years of solid growth, right? That is actually known as just being volatile, not risky. And there's a huge difference, and we need to understand that. That is why we have bear and bull markets, okay? Things go up and down, and that doesn't mean they are risky, all right? The three investments we're going through today all experience ups and downs, okay? So both have seasons of going up and down and aren't actually risky. They are actually simply volatile, and you can actually work out how to handle that volatility over time. Okay, so it's an important distinction. So The first potential asset I want to cover off is crypto. Okay, now I know that there's probably some of you who have question marks around this space or a little bit kind of put off by this. So whether you're sold out for crypto or not, what I'm going to do is take you through a buy and hold strategy for Bitcoin. Okay, I'm not going to waste any time with any like alternate coins or anything like that. Obviously, it's been around the longest time, right? We have the most data for that, and it's seen by many as the safest option. So let's look at some historical data for Bitcoin. All right, so over the last 10 years, it has returned 73% every year, and the inflation adjusted figure is actually 68%. So as you can see there. Now, obviously, it has a standard deviation there, which is absolutely huge, but that's that up and down, all right? But to be conservative for our calculations today, what we're going to do is we're going to go with 60%. All right. Also, it's important to note here that Bitcoin and crypto as a whole experiences a negative return year every 4 years. And you can actually see it on the chart that's there. You know, between 2014 and 2015, that was a downtime. 2018 to 2019, another downtime, right? And then 2022 to 23, another downtime. So that's happened every 4 years consistently. But let's take out our trusty calculator. Let's see if I can. All right. New share. All right. So we're going to look at this calculator. Okay. So initial investment is 0, right? We're going to do a 60% return to be conservative, and we're going to do that for 10 years. Okay. Now that 60,000 is going to be spread over $5,000 every month. And what you're going to see here is going to be some crazy numbers. All right. So after that 10-year period, you're going to have $39 million. All right. So now before you kind of, jump ship, panic, and kind of go, I've got to put everything in there. I want to have a quick look at this chart. Okay. So this chart is the yearly breakdown. Now, to get to the point where we are consistently replacing our income, I would say you would be in a position where you would need to wait until year 4. Now, the reason that I say that, okay, is that obviously we just went through before that every 4 years there's a downturn, okay? So by waiting to year 4, okay, and taking out an annualized figure or a monthly figure back out of this investment to replace our current income, we have protection built in there for those downtimes as well. So we're not grabbing the full 424,000, but at year 4, that's the yearly return at 60%. So that means that we are using 3 years of solid growth to prepare for the 4th downturn. Okay, so that is kind of a way that I would approach that one. Okay, so it's pretty crazy, but still a very, very good option. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Now, obviously, some of you are wholeheartedly in real estate, which is fine, sold out for that. So let's have a quick look at the old bricks and mortar. All right. Now, obviously, I found a property in Perth. Okay, it took me about 5 minutes of searching where they're asking 550, so 550,000, and it's actually not a bad suburb, experiencing about 8.9% capital growth, and its rental appraisal for this particular property is $600 per week. So let's look at that a bit more. So what I'm going to do is there's a few presumptions here, so I'm going to just go through them as well. All right. Now. Oops, 1 second. Okay, that's better. All right, so this is, okay, a quick map that I put together for navigating the real estate space. As you can see, we've got the initial value, okay? Now, there are a few presumptions here that I need to talk through. Obviously, the rental appraisal was $600 per week. I've got us down for a 4% rental income every year. The red squares here that happen at year 3, 4, 5, and 6 are equity draws. So we're moving to a position where we have enough equity to draw down equity to purchase more than one property. But as you can see, each 12 months, we're using that $60,000 as a deposit for our next property, and we're adding more on based on that as well. So we're working with capital growth of 8%. Okay, we're working with interest rates of 6% currently, obviously anticipating it to go down in the coming 7 years as well. And obviously the green items here. So I'm working on the basis that after 5 years, we're selling a property. Okay, we're like, so at year 5, we're selling the first property we bought. Now, the reason I do that is to minimize this column here, the good old maintenance column. Okay, so basically to ensure that per property, we're setting aside $2,000 for maintenance each year. It might be more, but the idea is that we've got that there. Okay, and every 5 years, we're selling the one that we bought first. Okay, as you can see here, so sale of property 1 and sale of property 2 happen in year 5 and in year 6 as well. But as you can see, more importantly than all of this, we've worked with interest only. Okay, so there is some assumptions there, but the net worth and equity here column is a great one to see. So after year 7, so at the end of year 7, at the start of year 8, we're sitting at about 2 million in equity, and we're making about 202,000 each year. So we've done it in 7 years. Okay, so there is a path forward here to kind of make that happen as well. Now, obviously, the value of the property at each purchase has gone up by that 8% as well. So let's say you want it to be a little bit more conservative. Let's have a replay. Let's change that to 4%. Okay, it's a very similar scenario, if not slightly better, based on the fact that the purchase price of these properties is less, so the interest on the debt that we accumulate is less as well. But again, our equity or our net worth is really the one that takes the hit in that scenario. So even if you wanted to be conservative and say you only experience 4% capital growth, it's still a great scenario that ends at year 7 with us having successfully replaced our income as well. All right, so that's real estate. Let's get back to the other slides. All right. So I want to back right off. Okay. Now, let's say you believe all of that other stuff up until this point is nonsense. You know, you don't want to waste time in crypto. You don't want to do real estate. Let's get back to the very, very basic. And Warren Buffett says the simplest thing that the average person can do is invest in index funds. That's, you know, he's really rich. That's what he says. The very least we can do is be investing in index funds. So here's a screenshot summary of the last 10 years performance for index funds, specifically the ASX 200, which is an index fund made up of the top 200 companies that trade on the Australian exchange. So 2 years, it was a negative return. 5 years, it was 10%, and 3 years, it was above 10%. So again, volatile, yes, because there's 2 down years, but not risky. Okay, those down years were 7 years apart. So you could, this could be an indication of needing to be ready and prepare for, you know, once every 7 years, getting some sort of negative return. Now, one of those was only like negative 3%. So it's just important to be aware of that stuff. But we're going to work with 10% on our index funds. So let's head over to our trusty calculator. All right, so we're going to reset that one, head back up to the top. Okay, we're going to go with 10%, 10 years, $5,000 a month. All right, let's calculate. So that takes us just over the $1 million mark. Now, this is the important thing to note here, is that we get to year 10, okay, and we're sitting with an annual income of roughly $94,500. So it's not quite having replaced our income, okay? But with anything, what you can do is give yourself a little bit of extra time, okay? So we're going to go 12 years just to do that. We end up with 1.38 million, and we're getting into the category where we're making 128,000. So 128 and $1,500 every year. So if you were to take out the $60,000 that we were saving and any sort of taxation, etc., we're sitting around what we need to survive. So we have successfully replaced our income at year 12. Okay, and again, this is the safest, easiest kind of option. This is something that anyone can do. All right, let's jump back to our presentation. All right. So now, having looked at all three of those options, you can see that there's so much opportunity out there. And these are only looking at individual assets. A killer way of doing this would be to like a specific combination of the three, buying an investment property instead of every year, we can go every 2 years, right? And even putting $1,000 a month into Bitcoin, right? Over a 10-year period, that would still be worth about $7.8 million on its own. So that is no joke, okay? And putting a little more into shares as you go. And, let me tell you, I mean, doing the working on some of that yields some really incredible results. But I guess the biggest question we have is what now? What do you need? Well, we need the $60,000. All right. The pivotal point in all of this really is having that $60,000 every year consistently to invest in your future. And this is where what I do comes in. I help couples save crazy amounts of money in short periods of time. I help them build consistency into their savings so they can make solid steps towards the financial future that they want. For example, we've got Matt and Katie again. They were the couple for this example. We've got Brenton and Janelle, also Trevor and Tegan, all got to $15,000 in the bank in just 8 weeks. Okay. That was the crazy short period. That was their kicking off part. And well and truly, they've gone on to save more than 60 consistently. We've got Leah and Beth. They got to $8,000 in just 12 weeks. So they went from saving nothing to saving $8,000 in 12 weeks. Then we have Jacob and Georgia, who got to $15,000 in the bank in 19 weeks. They are incredibly happy with their trajectory, and they know that things are going to change. They're going to be able to do even more because Georgia's just returned from maternity leave. So their situation is going to change again, which is fantastic. And then we have Tom and Kel, who got to a whopping $37,000 in the bank in just 12 weeks. And all of these couples had different circumstances and various things going on in their lives. Some had young kids, others had teenage kids, some didn't even have kids yet. Some were on maternity leave, right? Some were in the middle of changing jobs, and they all lived in different areas with different living costs. The truth is, it doesn't really matter. What I do, the system we use works across the board, across many different life situations. So if you're wanting to take advantage of the next 10 years, wanting to invest in your future, creating life-changing wealth, you're in the right place. And this is where the $40,000 by the end of the year comes into play. Right? We're currently in the month of May, right? And based on the average result I get from my clients, we have roughly 33 weeks remaining roughly in the year, right? So for people who start working with me now or within the next week or so, they are going to average like roughly $40,000 to $60,000 by the end of the year. Not only that, but they will have all the skills, habits, and behaviors they need to consistently maintain that momentum. That will be their new normal, meaning replacing their income in the next 10 years or less is actually a real life option for them. Most people overestimate what they can do in a single year, right? But grossly underestimate what they can achieve in just 10 years. 10 years of consistent effort can change your life. Think about that for a moment. Think about how old you are right now, right? Think about what the last 10 years have been like. And if you're like most of us, it probably feels like it happened really fast. So in another 10 years, right, you have the opportunity right now to replace your income entirely by investment income. You have the potential to change your life forever. But basically right now, there are 2 directions we can take from here. All right. If this is something you want to explore a little more, find out more about what you could do, complete the Wealth Potential Calculator. It's a great free tool that reveals what you could do potentially in 12 weeks, in just 12 weeks, right? It will give you great insight to what is actually possible and give you a figure to plan out your next 10 life-changing years. Okay. Or if you already have your results, the potential you have, take another look at that document. Think about what you could do. And if you want to know if this will work for your unique situation, and if it's applicable for you, we can have a conversation about that. All right. I'll make sure that the link for the Wealth Potential Calculator and for booking a call is somewhere here. So click on the link that's relevant for you. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you got some value out of this. I really enjoyed putting this one together because it is possible. Okay. This is a life-changing thing. I mean, imagine just now in 10 years that you've gotten to a point where you've replaced your income. It's going to change absolutely everything. But that's it, guys. I will talk to you soon.